Yeah, Yalada. Lia, did you want to?
Yeah. So is the presentation up? Can people see the visuals?
I think
Hello?
we're just getting them up now.
Okay, cool. Okay, thanks. Sorry.
I did a fantastic thing
yes.
of muting myself. I'll share it in a sec.
Okay, thanks. So Ngamumu is a Kuku Yalanji word from where Merindi's from, and it is called, it translates to four mothers. And initially, just for a bit of a background on the project, initially we had actually called the project Karke Binamalmal, which means children learning. And we had placed children at the start, at the kind of centre of this. And then as the project developed, we recognised that it was actually the mothers that we needed to be supporting and empowering in the artistic space, so that the kids and, you know, the children and families and communities would get the ripple effects of that. So there's been a really nice transition of centering children to centering the mothers as part of this process. And so the project started a couple of years ago when we were asked to do an installation space at the Cairns Children's Festival. And after 2 days of creating a pop-up space that people could come, and we had Merindi and her family singing and telling story, and woven sensory time, and ochre footprints on paper bark, and, you know, mobiles, and it was just so beautiful. And after 3 days, we all went, oh my goodness, what just happened? Like, that was so magical. And recognise that this was something that we really need to explore, and that it deserved more than just being a one-off. So Merindi and I decided to, rather than curating just artists in that space, which is what we had done, we decided that we could actually work with local women in the Cairns region where we're based, which has, you know, a heap of communities, you know, from Yarrabah and Mossman all the way up through the Cape and the Torres Strait, that there's a whole bunch of communities that we could be working with mothers in community and supporting their artistic and creative practices, so that they could be either running their own installation spaces and pop-ups, or really whatever they want. And then from that, it's just grown into a big chunker of a baby and taken us to places that we really had no foresight or vision. It's just been so beautiful and so well received. So that's where it started from. And
Lia, I just want to check that
yes.
people can see the PowerPoint presentation on their screen. Great. And Lia, you're going to tell me when I need to go to the next slide, right?
Yeah.
Good on you.
So that was the first slide. So I'll just go to why 1,000 days. So the first 1,000 days, for those of you who don't know, and I didn't until kind of recently myself, is from the age of conception all the way through to about when they turn 2. And I think it's like 1,010 days exactly from a child's second birthday to, you know, to when they're conceived, depending on what week they come in. So there's this first 1,000 days that happens, which includes baby in the womb and the pregnancy. And that's why mother becomes so central to that, because we are growing them, and, you know, they're feeling what we're feeling, and they're feeding on what we're feeding, and all those things. We're such a central and joint, you know, part of at that time of baby's life. Sorry. You know, the science is all backing it up, that it's recognised that, you know, healthy and supported mothers are vital to the physical, emotional and mental development of the child. Here we go. But also that, you know, babies learn more in the first 1,000 days than they do in the next 40 years of their life, from walking and breathing and talking. And, you know, if you think of a baby up into a 2-year-old, by the time they're 2, they're running around telling you what to do. So there's this really vital time, and there's a lot more programs that you'll be seeing that are kind of coming up in this space. And a lot of them are very health focused, and maternal child health or early childhood development. But we recognise that the arts is not a space that's necessarily in this time, and arts and culture particularly, we know, is part of having a holistic a holistic journey, and for many of us, we don't feel like we get that within the medical system, and this time was 1,000 days. And so Merindi and I thought, as artists, how can we respond to this cohort of women and children in particular, but also fathers and families who are actually very vulnerable. It's a very precious time. It's incredibly exhausting for anyone who's a parent and knows this. I haven't slept in 10 weeks, and you know, there's so much happening, just trying to keep up and make sure baby's alive and you're all fed and watered and the dishes might get done, let alone thinking about you know, the greater things of baby's development. And we thought that, you know, our people must have known this. Our people must have known this and been doing this on the regular. And what are these practices? So that started our exploration into this first 1,000 days. Merindi?
So where are we up to the...
Who we are.
Who we are, sorry. I guess, sorry, I've got the wrong list. My apologies. So who we are, so, you know, once again, Ngamumu actually stems from Yalanji, the name for mothers, and being a creative space, we've been able to develop this project to really hone in on what we missed as mothers, you know, especially, you know, I've got, for me, my personal journey, I've got like 5 children that I've born, you know, 2 that I guess class as my own. So hubby had 2 before I met him, but being in that space of not knowing who to turn to or who to connect with, in that, I guess, space of you know, a new space of being a mama. You know, we've been, you know, to be able to bring mothers now together to talk and learn and grow from each other has been, you know, part of this Ngamumu journey. So to, you know, Lia, did you want to kind of take over? Sorry.
Yeah. So I have a baby. I have a 10-week-old baby on me, and Merindi actually hasn't slept because her niece gave birth at 3 o'clock this morning, and she's been in the birth suite. So we've very much been living this 1,000 days right now, which is really beautiful, and like Merindi was saying, really does inform our practice. You know, kind of moving in. If you move on to the next slide, you know, the problem has been, you know, not only is something missing socially for new mothers, and we know all the stats around postnatal depression. It's huge, 1 in 7 women and 1 in 20 dads, and I reckon it's a lot more for both. But I know that when I had my first son, it just felt like something was missing, that there are so many kind of key life moments from, you know, becoming a mother and then the breastfeeding and the first birthday. There was all these huge moments that were happening in my life, and there was no ceremony or acknowledgement or foods or rituals around it. And I didn't know what the answers were, but I knew that it was not meant to be like this. And so that sense of isolation and not knowing and yearning really did kind of inform us to keep, you know, to keep kind of looking into this. And as we started to do the research, it was really amazing, because we found that no matter where mob were from, whether it was Africa or Native American, that a lot of them, like the postpartum period of 40 days, was actually the same. So all over the world, it wasn't an Indigenous thing, but that women had found, you know, knew what needed to be done. Sorry, let me just stand up with this baby. Knew what needed to be done in order to look after themselves. And in fact, it was the developing countries that where men, and in particular white men, had taken over women's reproductive health, because they were the experts in the field apparently, that these cultural practices and these medicines and plants and songs and and ceremonies were still very much in place. And so that was really exciting to us on one level, that we could look to ancestral practices as to how to inform our practice. But then there was also some sorrow around what that meant as colonised peoples, depending on where we were from, and Merindi here in Australia, that those things don't exist anymore, and that there was going to have to be some reimagining done for some of those practices that were lost. Merindi,
Sorry. So I guess, you know, in summing up, you know, that, you know, to bring us into a space where we can, you know, take back some of those cultural practices, some of those things that have been sitting dormant or been asleep for many years, you know, and especially in this nation since colonization, you know, we've been able to kind of give ourselves that to create in a space that's safe, you know, that's culturally safe, you know, that's bringing knowledges, you know, not just through creating, you know, our baby toys within the Ngamumu space, you know, bringing our cultures on different motifs, babies and being, you know, giving ourselves that license to bring that history and our stories through song. So, you know, and there's so many different means of being creative. We've only just kind of touched the surface in, you know, these last few workshops that we've been able to deliver, and we've been supported, you know, graciously supported at being able to do that too with some of our, you know, people and funders that have come on board. But, you know, to be able to have that license and give that back to ourselves, you know, no one has actually given that to us. We've had to take that back as mamas, and that there is making a statement there is that, hey, we do exist, and it doesn't matter what, you know, and especially, you know, coming from an artistic perspective, it can sometimes be hard to balance the two, you know, and to juggle that. And to be able to do this with other mothers in this you know, in this group, in these groups, in these workshops, has been, you know, I guess detrimental for me as a mama. And I think for other mamas, it's been, you know, just hearing some of the stories coming back from the mamas where they've said, you know, this has helped me on my journeys. You know, we've got some first mums, we've got mums that have 2 or 3 babies in this space, but they've been able to draw strength just from being in that space, you know, and they've been allowed that opportunity to go and think, oh, what did our forefathers do? You know, what did our nanas do? And even, you know, the simple thing of just bringing that, I guess that song element, you know, to, you know, to really create that space where we can really express who we are and our identities, and giving that back. It, you know, it's been a beautiful journey. So next, sorry. So you know, been talking about these community workshops. And these are the workshops that have been created, as Lia was saying earlier, where, you know, starting off from a, you know, from a 2-day workshop, 2-day sort of pop-up installation at a beautiful children's festival here in Cairns, and, you know, and seeing that need, but being able to be in that space now has given us the opportunity to, you know, to recognize that there's so much more into being mamas. You know, you know, in these workshops, we're able to make those true conversations of those different stages in each of that first 1,000 days, you know, so the mamas are able to come together and just truly reflect on some of those stages that they probably never would have thought that they could have reflected on, you know. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Lia, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, our community workshops are actually, you know, we've been to the mums and bubs groups ourselves, and I actually found them quite isolating. The kids would have a great time, but there would be all these parents kind of hanging around, kind of looking on their phones and not really having any opportunity to engage, and definitely not a meaningful engagement. And so, you know, our hope is that these community workshops are actually more reflective of how it would have been in our villages, where the women are all sitting around weaving, yarning, cooking, and coming together, and the babies are there. They're just there. They're on backs. They're in billums. They're on slings. They're crawling around on the floor while the women are still doing their work. And very much we know that arts and cultural practice are one and the same for Indigenous peoples. And so by creating these spaces that have a creative element, whether it's weaving or embroidery or you know, songwriting or whatever the activity is that we do in the space, the women get that thing of making and creating and feeling productive and producing resources that reflect them and their cultures for their children. It's also amazing what happens when people are sitting doing something, the yarns that happen. It's a lot more free flowing, and it kind of breaks down a lot of barriers, and everyone's just sitting around looking at each other, those weaving circles, and you know, that's why they've always happened, and women have always done them regardless of culture. Like, I think of Country Women's Association, you know, all that kind of yarning. So, you know, our community workshops are really at the heart of what we do. And from that, yes, we do get all these ideas and programming, and some of them we have done culturally specific. So we had a Pacific Islander only one in Cairns. We've been in Mothman, we've been in Yarrabah, but we've also had open ones which are open just to the general public, and having non-Indigenous women in that space who are so thankful and love it so much. You know, we also recognise this is a woman's story or a birthing person's story, and so you know, that we want to make sure we hold spaces for everyone, because it's really important. And like Merindi said, you know, people had never even heard of the first 1,000 days, let alone knew that there were ceremonies that they could create for themselves, or that a postpartum of 40 days and getting those frozen meals and giving yourself that rest and that care that you need 40 days after having baby was even a thing. And, you know, we always joke Merindi's birthed 5 children and that she's actually owed 200 days postpartum. And she'd go on a cruise somewhere or do something because she didn't know about it, you know. And so therefore this bounce back culture, and, you know, and also the need as professional women to get back on the game. I'm feeling a little bit like that right now. You know, we've got so much going on, but to still be participating when actually often all we needed is rest. And it never, I don't think anywhere in the world, would have just been 2 people having a baby. It was always a community or a village having that baby. And so the isolation and all those things in the problems that we talked about are obvious symptoms of what is not kind of a natural way of us birthing children, and the whole medicalisation of our birthing, but also then our child rearing. And I think we feel that as primary caregivers, particularly in this first 1,000 days. So the community workshops is at the heart of that, and currently we're delivering them at Boongaja, which is an art space, but we've also done them in medical spaces, community health spaces, and we've also done them on a bush block around a fire, which was my personal favourite. And, you know, Merindi brings a damper. We include, you know, we cater the meals, and we try to do as many kind of postpartum or lactation recipes, or just recipes that support mothers in those first 1,000 days so that they can just taste it and smell it and try it. We're using and recipes from all over the world, the Moroccan recipes and the Vedic recipes from India, with Chinese red dates and, you know, teas and stuff. So we can really kind of give the mothers when mothers leave that space, we hope they feel replenished and rejuvenated, not more depleted and more exhausted because they've just been out for half the day. Yeah. And then the next slide is just who we are.
I've had that up for a little bit while you guys have been talking, just so people get a sense of who you are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's just who we are. And then I guess, you know, from these community workshops and also COVID and having time to reflect, that we realise there is so much to this space. And, you know, the workshops are very intimate. You know, if we have 12 people, we're actually happy with that because it's quality, not quantity. And also we're based in Far North Queensland, so it's very regional and it's very kind of site-specific to our communities. Initially, when we thought about this, we thought we'd be like artists in residence touring all over the country and doing all this stuff, and then we're just like, wait a minute, we actually have children. Like, we're not going anywhere as much as we'd like to. And so we had to bring it back and recognise that there's lots of communities actually in and around Cairns that we can be servicing, that we could drive to and then come home every night to be with our families. So currently it's very Cairns-based. And I guess that's just, you know, been a big part of our programming, that it's for mothers by mothers. And so both of us has recognised, you know, the arts is not a particularly family-friendly space for audiences or practitioners, really. And so that we had to, you know, this project had to work for us, because it couldn't work for us and our families, and we actually just couldn't do it. So we've been really mindful and thoughtful, and, you know, if it happens, we've got babies, you know, babies everywhere kind of working it out, but that's been really important to us. And then we also recognise, while we're doing the community workshops, that there is a greater story, a woman's story or a birthing person's story, and look in current creative development for a theatre show. And that's something that we would like, and that would give us that touring element. So although we won't be able to be on the road, that we could have people on the road telling this universal story of First 1,000 Days and what that means, and bringing in elements of song and dance and culture and hopefully food into that story, so that we can kind of start having these conversations and touch people who maybe haven't thought about this 1,000 days, but when they do, they recognise, one, that they really need it, or that they didn't have it. And so I've actually sent through some phone numbers, because we've had a lot of people very triggered in this space as well. We've had women who have 25-year-old sons, you know, have been in postpartum for 25 years and come into our space and start crying because they remember how isolated and lonely they were. And we've had midwives crying because of the post-traumatic stress disorder they had from their own birth in the birthing suite. And so we know that our body holds memories, and that there's potential for that intergenerational trauma that can happen throughout this time of the first 1,000 days, especially when you're in such a medicalised system. I know that I'm still processing my own birth that I had 10 weeks ago. And so that the theatre project was an opportunity for us to kind of reach out this story more and talk to people more. So that's in collaboration with QPAC and also Boombaja, and we're working with a collective of amazing mothers and artists across Queensland in particular, but also Victoria, to pull that together. Just so you know, we also have an In Conversation series that's happening at the moment, which is all on our website, but is getting dropped kind of every week or every 2 weeks, depending on our capacity. And we've been talking to artists, mothers and fathers who are artists and cultural practitioners, about their experiences and what the first 1,000 days means to them, and how arts and culture can support their practice. So we've got a real variety of people on there, and please check that out. And then also we do these festival pop-ups. So that's how we started, and creating these beautiful spaces. I've been to quite a few festivals, and, you know, very, very rarely is there a space for these 0 to 2-year-olds. You know, even some of the bigger children's festivals, it might be a sandpit, but that's got, you know, what am I going to do with my 10-week-old there? And so you have these poor mothers pulling around prams, and there's no creative programming for them. So we really want to provide a space that you can come and breastfeed, but also that your baby can be stimulated and have creative practice that's made for them, like, you know, singing of the lullabies and mobiles and, you know, sensory play that's relevant to them. So, so that's kind of what we have on the boil at the moment. And then I guess our model, what we're trying to do is be scalable. So, you know, we can set up in a 3x3 marquee on a bush block around a fire. We can also set up at QPAC or Boombajar and have a huge space in a theatre space. And usually that's depending on money, but also what the community wants and needs. But we're collaborative. So each of our community workshops, we have a budget line for a community liaison person so that we have someone on the ground who knows the mothers and knows the people there, and can help bring in the participants and also have that collaborative process. When we worked with the Pacific Islander community, we had a whole programming schedule planned, and then when we got in there and we asked them what they wanted to do, they wanted to revitalise their quilting technique of Tavai. A lot of them were Cook Islanders. And so that's what we did for the whole 10 weeks, and that was absolutely fine. We had another budget line for elders and additional artists so that we anticipated that we wouldn't know everything, and we don't pretend to know everything. And especially working in cultural spaces, we allocate some money for that kind of elder or community member to come in, and whether that's physically come in or provide guidance to us. We've always got that budgeted as part of our model. So we're very collaborative. The reciprocity, like I said, Merindi and I don't even pretend to know it. We're still learning it and working it out for ourselves and our children as global Indigenous women. But then depending on the group that we're working on, that they bring so much to it. I know for myself, and I know Merindi and I have talked about it, that this project has been such a huge source of healing for ourselves as artists and mothers, as much as we hope it's becoming a space of healing for the people that we engage. And just that point of that for mothers, by mothers, again, that, you know, we're doing this for ourselves and our family and our community, and because we understand that if we are nourished and we are okay and our cup isn't, you know, not just half empty or, you know, withering away with a couple of drops, but if our cups are full and overflowing, that the benefits and the trickle-down effect of that to our families and communities is massive, and that we have to look after ourselves as part of this journey, which is very much against capitalist ways of being, and we have to constantly bring ourselves back and make sure that we are okay and that our mamas are okay, so that we can be in this for the long haul. And then there's just a little bit of information of our website and our social.
Thanks, guys. Sorry, Merindi. I'm just aware of the time, but carry on.
I was just going to say, you know, we're talking about, sorry, Lia had mentioned about the Tavai, and I just thought it might be a really nice opportunity just to share a bit of that journey with you through a song, if that's all right, Brett. Have we got time for that still, or?
We are running a little over. What my suggestion might be is maybe you play us into the break in a little while. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Yes. Yeah.
And then people can grab a cuppa to the musical tones of Merindi Schrieber. The opportunity now was to kind of break up into groups. We'll break you guys into groups of 4 for about 10, 15 minutes, probably more like 10 at this point. And there's a question, Merindi, Lia, do you want to talk to the question that you were hoping people might discuss in their groups?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it would be really great for Merindi to do the song, just because it is an actual example of what we do, and that's really hard over an online space. But the questions that we would like to put forward to you guys is, you know, what does the first 1,000 days mean to you? And we understand for many of you, this might be the first time you've ever heard of this space, but does that kind of trigger anything for you? Have you had 1,000 days as either a birthing person or a partner, or connected to someone, or is potentially as an arts practitioner or a presenter, programmer, what does this mean to you and your artistic practice? And then also, what are some of the cultural and artistic practices that you know of, either in your own culture, from your own mob or family, or that you've learnt about that support mothers and babies during this first thousand times? So what do we already know that exists in this space? And if that's nothing, then is there anything you can think of just by hearing us and our big yarn trigger some reimagining for you?
So we'll try and whack that in the chat to prompt you, but I'm just going to break you into some rooms at the moment. So in groups of 4, if you don't mind just introducing yourselves, it's a great way to get to know each other and chat amongst yourselves. Spend 5 minutes to do that, and then spend another 5, 7, 10 minutes talking about the question. That would be wonderful. While I figure out some technology over here, give me a minute. Add a room. So you'll see some rooms popping up on your screen. Feel free to jump on in, and
Sorry, are we able to have the Merindi play the song while
we can, yeah. Merindi, do you want to sing the song now, and then it gives me some tech time? It's great.
So this, I guess this song is a song that we wrote with the Cook Islands, and Lia was talking about the Tavaiwai and how they really, being away from their country, a lot of the young people now haven't got those connections anymore. And they've kind of lost track of who they are in their identity, and they haven't been encouraged really. They've all, come into this country, they've had to just conform to what our mob do on this land, or our mob of today, sort of thing. So they, they thought it'd be really nice to really bring that Tavaiwai back. And it was such a beautiful journey with the mamas last year that they decided, well, let's sing the Tavaiwai. So this song is called Tavaiwai, the beautiful blanket that our mamas create for their bubbas. So here we go. Mama make a blanket, Tavaiwai, create a bed to sing a lullaby. All the designs, no matter where you roll, always connected to your island home. Koro, 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 kaute, kaute. Dear Pani, lau. Sorry, I've got my little boy jumping in as a mama does. Stitches handed down, keep our culture alive. Mamas, aunties, grandmamas, Tavaiwai. Each design tells a story for you to wear as your crown and glory. Koro, koro, and if you want to repeat after me, kaute, kaute, tipani, lau. Koro, koro, kaute, kaute, tipani, lau. Now it's time to close your eyes, my baby, wrapped in your love and your tipani. Dream about the love of your family from your island home in the Pacific Sea. little backup dancer here, little Wangalai. Meet him. Say hi.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Merindi.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
We're just chucking the question in the chat. Feel free to jump into your breakout groups and have a chat with each other and introduce each other and have a yarn. I'll call you back on the chat when it's time. Alison, have I not assigned? Oh, there we go. Good. Harriet, are you okay? Oh, Harriet's off somewhere. Are you guys all right? Randy, you all right? Leah, you're okay?
Yeah.
Great. So I was just trying to keep us on track for time as well. Sorry for butting in. That was a beautiful song. Are you all right, Harriet?
Yeah. Hi, Harriet.
Great. Do you guys want to grab a drink or a cuppa or something? Come back in 5 and have a little break? You all right?
I'm all right.
Okay.
I got my drink here.
How are we doing? We all right?
Are we going okay, Brett, with time and stuff? I think
We're running a little behind, so it's 11:45 now, and they should be back into that sharing moment, right? So I'll give them 7 minutes, and we'll do a quick share, and try and keep the break to as close to 10 o'clock as possible, 9:30 your time, Leah. Sorry, midday as possible.
Yes.
11:30 your time, Leah. Just so we can get that second conversation and the track stuff in and the songwriting, give it a bit of space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Leah, are you there?
Yep.
Leah? Sorry. So do you think that we can still do that reimagining your cultural practice as kind of a bit of a theme for some of the suggestions, I guess, or the I don't know, getting a little bit lost today, sorry.
It's all right.
Yes, that's fine.
Question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I haven't actually seen that many of your songwriting workshops, Merindi. I'm always busy washing dishes or doing something else while you can, but maybe they can, maybe they can throw words out, you know, to you of things that inspired, and you get a bunch of words, or however you kind of want to do it, what comes out.
So we've got the document set up if you want them to type in their groups, in their individual groups, and we can see that, and I can chuck us in and out of the groups if we need to yarn with them, or do that after they've had that moment, which gives you guys I can put you in your own room to kind of just look at what they're typing and yarn that through and play.
Yeah.
Kind of like we're doing now while they're talking, we can kind of jump in, like see the doc, see what they're typing. And if you say to me, hey, Brett, I want to go and have a talk to them, I can pull you in and out of groups if you need to.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Especially because we see what they're writing, and if we've got questions with what they're writing, we can kind of jump into that.
We can. Yeah, you can. We can just work that out ourselves. You might just need to text me in the chat when you're done in a group, because I'll wait in the waiting room. But is the question still, how do we make sure there's space for those ancient practices to exist? Is that still the kind of the provocation for them to start filling that in? And what have you got in your cultural practices that you use or want to reimagine?
Yeah, and it could be just a short one-liner, or it could be just one word, that they pop in there, which is fine, because then we can kind of, and maybe even talk about where that comes from, if you kind of put it into the group that they, this is from my Chinese background, or this is from my Indian background, or,
Will you two help me set that up then when we get into kind of, so we'll come out of this, we'll do a little share from each of the groups, and then we'll have a break, and then we'll set that bit up. Will you guys help me set that bit up? Because I'm a little lost.
And I guess it could be just that song, I'm imagining this song to kind of be a song that's celebrating and sharing just those thoughts, you know, those
great.
practices just in that song, you know, that history of all the different backgrounds that are represented today. So
Yeah, right. Okay.
yeah.
So we'll try and get them back from break at about 12:10, probably 12:15, and do that till about 12:30. And then you've got about 15 minutes to share the song, so we can kind of spend a couple of minutes talking about what you've done, do it, and then open up for a little interrogation of it if you want to. And then we'll open up for some broader questions and answers. I can truncate that bit at the end if we need to.
Yep.
Leah, I got your text of all those support groups, but it's an image and I'm struggling to find a way to put the image in the chat. Worst case scenario, I'll copy it into a Word doc and chuck it in. But is there a link to something else with the hyperlinks or something?
No, I don't know. I just imagined you just hand write it into the, like, just type it in.
Yep, cool. We'll get
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine.
So have I got time to just quickly duck to the bathroom?
Yeah, me too. I've got to wee and get a glass of water. I've got to wee and get a glass of water. All right. Oh, back in a minute.
Is that you, Merindi?
We're both back. Just gave them 5 more minutes.
Can I just pop in and mute for a sec? What they said, hold on.
So correct.
Yes, ma'am. I am.
It's such a funny.
It's weird for you, right? I can't imagine.
I just have no visuals whatsoever.
I'm here for you.
My partner's. Oh, thank you. Look, my partner's just texted, and he's going to be back in half an. We only have a one-room little kind of donga.
Yep.
And he's going to be back in kind of in half an hour or so.
Yep.
With my 4-year-old. So
cool.
I'm actually feeling like I might have to say goodbye at the break.
Okay.
and
why don't you mute and just listen in?
Oh yeah, I can try and do that. It's very difficult with a 4-year-old.
I get you. I get you.
I just don't know how present I'll be, and I'd go outside except it's 37 degrees.
Yeah, no.
With the baby strapped on me. It's just cool, a very It's just a very tricky kind of combination. But I feel like if I can just tell the participants that, because of my current situation, this is what's happening. Merindi's running the songwriting workshop anyway. Like I would literally be a participant or just on mute listening.
Yep.
Anyway, I wouldn't be feeding into that space.
Sure.
And then she'll be singing the song. And then, there's the question and answer, which I might try and see if I can, maybe if you text me, but it's just a bit chaotic. But I think Merindi can kind of handle a couple of questions. And also, if I'm happy for my personal phone number to be put up. Okay. And if people wanted to kind of contact me again, and I could just tell the audience that.
I think I might just point them to your website, right? I'll point them to your website if they've got need more info.
Yeah, more information, contact, and we're happy to.
Yeah, I think this kind of exchange will be great. Also, the group understands where you guys are at. There's no one here going, what's going on? And if we can't support some others in this space being professional and mothers and practicing culture all at the same time, then we're doing something wrong.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
so if that's okay with you, Bruce.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice to see. I mean, do you think you could hang just to see some of those feedback coming through, or you may not?
I can't.
There you go.
I can't actually see.
Can't see them anyway.
See it anyway.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
So, will I let you say you're just going to lurk a little bit as much as you're able for the rest of the session, but say goodbye at the break. And if you get to pop back, that's great for us. But if not, we'll give you a thanks before you do so.
Yeah.
Right. I just don't want you leaving without having some kind of accolade, Leah.
Yes, Leah.
Oh, no. No, but it'll be good to say goodbye to the group, and then I'll hear and it's all recording and hear the song and hopefully be able to use that. So that'll be great.
Cool. All right. I can't remember when I'm just going to give them one more minute. I'm closing the rooms in 10 seconds. All right, here they come. Oh, it takes a minute to close the rooms to kick them. Here they come. There's a few people who are resisting saying goodbye to their roommates right now. They have like 25 seconds. It was tight, right?
No, it's just that it does that when you do that message, it comes down with a minute.
A minute, yeah. They've got 19 seconds left. Ten seconds. Gee, they're hanging on. Oh, no, I think there's one room that just doesn't want to leave. Oh, there we go. Here they come. Great. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you enjoyed meeting new people and talking through that question. What I might do is just see if there's one or two of you who want to share your conversation pretty quickly. We're keen to get to a break and give you guys a bit of brain space, but before we do, if we could share maybe a little bit of something. Is there anyone who wants to whack their hand up physically or digitally? Oh, great. No one?
I will.
Oh, thank you, Colette.
Yeah, I think the common thread there is the erosion of that piece of time just to be you and just to get to know your baby and just to get to know you now that you're a mum, and the same for dads. That it's across all cultures. It's been very eroded, and this expectation to get back to work and get back to your pre-baby body and to all these additional very capitalist pressures, and the long shot of that being is that everybody loses, really, everybody loses out by that, and yeah, so definitely a real eagerness on our behalf to try and incorporate some of this stuff back into our services, and provide a space where we can facilitate that for new mums. Yeah, definitely.
Great. Anyone else want to share? All right, we might move to a break then. Why don't we take 10 minutes, come back at 12:10. It's an action-packed second half, so make sure you go to the toilet, get yourself a drink. We'll see you back here in 10 minutes.
And I'd also just like to say, I was just going to say goodbye as well.
Yeah, so Lia's
Yeah.
got a complicated scenario where she's on country in the middle of what? It's 78 degrees or something there.
I just wanted to apologize, but in kind of mind of everything that we're talking about, I'm going to take myself out for the second half. The mixture of a 4-year-old and a 10-week-old and 37 degrees and a one-room cabin, and no internet access is just making it a little bit tricky to balance all of us kind of being here in this space. But I just really want to thank you all for being here, and I know you're going to have an amazing session with Merindi doing the songwriting. I can't wait to hear it. And please go to our social media or to our website, and I'm happy to continue any of these conversations that you'd like to. So yeah, thank you so much for having me, and sorry that I'm leaving early, but I'll leave you in Merindi's very capable hands.
Sure, we'll all thank Lia for the first half of the session, and I said to her, if any group was willing to accommodate a professional mother exploring culture right now and make all the accommodations for what that means, this group is the one. I'm sure we'd all thank Lia, and she might lurk around or she might pop back if she can, but thank you, Lia. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lia. Good luck.
Thanks, Lia.
Yeah.
You're welcome to hang out and have a chat between yourselves. We'll come back at 12:10.
Okay, is everyone there?
I'm here.
Okay, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Del.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's been lovely hearing from you, and I look forward to meeting you at some point in human to human.
Yes, I don't think it'll be too long.
No, I'm hoping to come up your way soon at some point.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we've got the initiative with QPAC as well.
Yeah.
We're working out when we can get down there. So we'll definitely be in touch.
I think I'll be in that space with you guys. Well, I'm hoping to be. All the best for the next little while too. I know it's complex.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All the best, Lia.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, my people. I know you're all on mute. I can see you're all on mute, but it's time to come back now. I see a lot of names and not a lot of faces. Here we go. Spent last week doing workshops in schools, so I feel like I want to ask everyone if they've washed their hands. Yeah. With a couple more people coming back. I don't want to kick this next session off until we've got everyone back, because we're going to jump into a group session again, and it'd be good to get everyone on the same space walking into those groups. So just hold our nerve for a little bit longer. If you don't have a camera, oh no, here we go. Yep. All right, I think we can jump in. Welcome back. We want to jump back into another group session in a minute. Merindi does a process where she you do it. I'm not doing it. You want to talk about the process?
Okay, so just with, I spoke about that Te Vai Vai song and how, we were able to kind of just create that organically, in that space. It wasn't something that was planned, it just kind of happened. But, when I think, coming into the Ngamumu space, I think of that lullabies, and how important that is, with song and story, to be able to continue that with our children, with our babies, because there's so much, when I when I think of song and sharing to our babies, I think of what our mob would have done, and all the knowledge that has been passed down for 60,000+ years. I don't see art. For me, it's not just art. It's not just me being a musician or me being a song maker or a songwriter. It's me being, being that responsible parent and person. And I guess in a cultural perspective, from where I come from, passing on that knowledge through this element, which has been, done for many moons, and to be able to, we're bringing it back to that, creating that, license to reimagine, using this space now as Ngamumu, and just as a songwriter, as a person of stories, of many stories, being able to reimagine those. I think of back in the days, it would have been just the clapstick or the didge, and our men or our women singing in certain spaces that knowledge was transferred to. So I feel like it would be a really great opportunity for us to be able to, us as parents, or us as, friends of parents, or people working in these spaces, to be able to share some knowledge to our babies, and knowledges, of the world too, knowledges that will embrace and help to really bring back that appreciation of each other. We know Australia now as a multicultural country, and so being able to work and bring this space, bring this little segment of our time here today to back to that space of reimagining. I thought it might be a really beautiful opportunity to hear from you all, and hear what your mobs did back in the days. I thought if I can put that question to you, if you could go away in your groups and have a think about, what did our mob do? What would have our forefathers have done, at this certain time to our babies? Some of the rituals, some of the ceremonies that would have happened, and maybe, you know, I'd really love to kind of see and hear from you so that we can, you know, as we bring that Google Doc up, we're looking at doing a live Google Doc. So I can look at some of the things that are coming up and maybe piece together a little song at the end that we can come. And this is the knowledge that us in that space can now share to our babies. It's like, wow, you know, whether you come from India or China or wherever you might be, you know, a Noongar or from Western Australia, or you might be, you know, we're all, let me just have a quick look at our chat, all the different mobs, wherever you're from, you know, Warajan, sorry, sorry, I can't say that, my apologies. Is that Nikita Hendricks? Sorry. But just looking at all the different places where you come from, you know, what are some of those practices that may have happened on that space, you know, or that may have happened in your history, you know, and it could be just a one line, it could be just one word, but if you could think about that in your groups and maybe just write a little list, and then I can try and piece together, and some of the knowledges that I know, I can piece together a little bit of a, you know, see how we can piece together this song then and leave that for our babies as our little kind of creative session today. And this is basically the process that I do when we're in our Ngamumu. It's kind of what cultures, what do you have to bring, you know, what do you want your babies to know about, and taking that back to that license to reimagine and bring that culture back to full circle. You know, it doesn't matter what history you come from, whether it's, you know, English, Irish, you know, Portuguese, you know, whatever, you know, we all have a history, we all have a rich culture that's been, you know, you're talking about the erosion. I think Colette was talking about that erosion, you know, it's all been eroded and we've all had to conform to this type of thinking and living and raising our children in this way. So I think it would be really beautiful for our babies to actually hear from every one of you in this space, and we create beautiful piece that that we can now share, and our babies have a bit of knowledge outside of their square.
So I've just shared a Google Doc on the chat. In there is some questions that might provoke some discussion. If we'll break up into the same groups again, if one of you could please take charge of some note taking, and in your group section, just write some notes in, one word, a sentence, some reflections, whatever that needs to be. We'll spend 5-10 minutes in that space. Merindi might pop in and out and just clarify some stuff, but while you're doing that, she's going to be reading those notes and you know, doing a song in 10 seconds or whatever it's called, pulling that together into some kind of reflection musically, and we'll come back at the end of the process and listen to that and then share a little bit before we ask some questions. Has everyone got the Google Doc handy? Are there any questions? Have I covered all bases? I'm going to open up your rooms.
See you soon, guys. Thank you. Look forward to hearing from you all.
Merindi, have you got the Google Doc open?
Okay, there it is. Yeah.
So we'll be able to see what they see. This is pretty much our room anyway. And if you want to jump into any of those groups, just let me know and I can assign you in.
For sure. So I kind of, as we were talking before, I kind of started just writing a bit of a tune there.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know how you do it. It's like,
when I put myself on mute, I just kind of, wait.
No, do it. But I don't know how you do that. It's black woman magic to me.
Hey, nah. Oh, baby, people around the world raise their children in many different ways. Oh, baby, people around the world raise their children in many different ways. No right or wrong. Through this song, learn something like that. But yeah.
There's some interesting stuff going in the chat. Sitting the month, mother must rest for a month. That kind of what you guys were talking about, dipping toes in the air. Like there's a lot of water stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Christenings with water, toes in the ocean.
Oh. So let's just quickly do this.
I'm trying to pull out thematics for you that might.
So lovely.
Yeah, right. Hand-me-downs. What are those things passed down that are imbued?
Oceans cold, dipping toes in the oceans. Oceans warm or something. Reading to children. Beautiful.
Something handmade is always given to the newborn. There's a bit of artifactory.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Lullaby. Lullabies for you and me.
It might be something about I give you a thing that has all of me in it, or you know, that artifact with me inside it, and my mum and my mum's mum, and I know I got that. I got the blanket from my great grandmother. That had all of my maternal side.
Hand it down. Hand it down. What did you say? A hand it down. What do they call it? Like a staple piece or something? Or you know, like a sacred piece.
Sacred piece.
Sacred piece.
Like hand-me-downs, right?
Hand me down. Hand me down. Sacred piece.
Yeah.
Hand me down, and we can just say sacred piece. Sacred piece.
Passing on toys from previous. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Oh.
It's not about the baby, but maybe they could be about the family. Beautiful.
I just got to get someone back in. Hang on a sec. Admit.
Something handmade, blankets, clothes. It's always given.
Are you back? Do you need to get back in your room, Jeffrey? Back in your room. What group are you in? Caring for mums after birth is something that's coming out too now. Mum delivered all my sister's babies.
Oh, wow.
I keep reading stuff out. Is that helpful for you? So you're not having to do both those bits?
Well, thank you.
Announcements of children being born, that there's some kind of, I like to call it the Lion King moment.
Yeah, what do you call it?
Presentation or welcoming to the world.
Welcome you, my babe. Welcome you into this world.
Celebration.
Celebrate. Baby boy or girl. Celebrate. Baby boy or girl. Oh, girl.
We're starting to get a sense of people gathering for the joy of it all, that there's casual or celebration, like people come from miles around.
People
Whatever.
People come from miles around.
The word we might be looking for in hand-me-downs is heirloom or keepsake. Is that a thing?
Keepsake. I think keepsake. Sacred.
Yeah.
Piece. Sacred piece or keepsake. Hand me down.
I think you've got it there. I think that all of that resonates.
Sacred piece is nice too, because it's kind of a sacred object and that's been handed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think the word sacred is lovely.
Yeah. Dipping toes. Ocean's cold.
Feels like they're right in the midst of it. I don't want to bring them back just yet.
Yeah.
Are you all right if we just truncate the feedback bit of this? Yeah.
Because then I can kind of work on this a little bit more then.
Well, why don't we mute you after this? I can get them to do some sharing. You can listen, but you can keep singing and writing, and then we'll bring you in. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh wow. Red eggs when a child is
a month old.
What are the red eggs? Oh, I'd like to know about that.
Do you want to go and ask, or do you want me to go and ask? I'll go and ask.
Please, if you can ask about that.
Yeah, I'll be back in a sec.
To get the to proceed.
Hello, good people.
Still mortified that neither of mine are done. Yeah, and he said, "Oh, but they're not protected." And I was like, "Mum, you don't go to church." But yeah,
I've got a question from Merindi. She's interested in red eggs. What are red eggs? Tell me about the red eggs.
That's you, Henry.
That was me, Brett. I was just saying, like, when a child turns a month old, you get we dye the eggs, hard-boiled eggs, in red, and then we give them out. It's for good luck.
Red for good luck. Cool. Thanks. Bye. Little fairy. So red eggs is Chinese culture. When they're a month old, they dye eggs red for good luck and hand them out.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Not the rest.
Red hard-boiled eggs. Yep. Oh, group 3 talk about gardening together, nurturing the earth.
Celebrate, baby, celebrate, boy or girl. People up from miles around.
Read into group 3 of what's going on now. Amongst the manicness of life, a free fall, a scramble. Either everyone telling you what to do or no one telling you how to do it.
Oh wow.
They've written your lyrics for you.
Where's that, sorry?
Group 3.
Group 3. So what did they said?
Amongst the manicness, like in that third paragraph there.
Yeah. Amongst the manicness of life, a free fall, a scramble. Everyone telling you what to do or no one telling you how to do it. The time you stop and connect.
Mum, can some of this?
Yeah, it's water.
There's some reimagining stuff in group 4 that talks about milestones that are usually about the baby, but maybe they could be about the family if we start thinking about that.
Yeah. Family.
All right, I'm going to give them 2 more minutes, okay?
Yeah. Okay, so we've got, oh, baby. A white dress that all our families babies have worn, a baby blanket has been, but a lot of it is about handed down stuff.
Yeah, right.
My mum delivered my sister's babies. Oh wow. So that's it's like a what do they call it? That kinship connections, connections from birth right through,
This hand-me-downs, I always felt like my grandmother was in the blanket. I never met my grandmother, but I felt like I knew my grandma from having that blanket. Like
that smell too, hey?
Yeah, the people are in the artifact.
Even though the smell might be a thing, but you can take the memory takes you back to that day.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Even that, the smell, the sound, the touch of you, I remember it even though you're gone, all of that stuff. All right, I'm going to give them 1 more minute, okay, and then I'll jump in. I might mute you.
And sacred peace, handed down.
Yeah.
Handed down.
I must have accidentally exited. Oops.
Do you want to go back in?
That's okay. I think
Right.
we could. Yeah. Oh, here they go. Sorry, I think I accidentally exited. Sorry, Hannah and Yale. Whoops. Clicked enter, I think, when it, yeah.
Merindi, I'm going to just mute you, Merindi, so you can keep working, okay?
Totally, yeah.
All right. Welcome back. Did you have enough time? Were you still in the midst of it when I called you back?
I think
All
that
right.
was a good amount of time, and I feel
Yeah.
like Merindi's got way more than she needs.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I feel
Look
like
at-
that's
yeah.
a good time to bring people back.
Well, there were a few goosebumpy moments as we were reading the notes. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
gorgeous list
Yeah,
to read through.
yeah. Welcome back, everyone. We were just saying, as Merindi and I were reading through that list, there were some goosebump moments. There's some really beautiful things that have come out of that session. Thank you for sharing. I've just put Merindi on mute. She's just doing art making right now. But I wondered if there was anything anyone wanted to particularly drill into before Merindi kind of wraps it into a piece of music. We heard our reflection as we were seeing the notes come up, and I wonder if this was reflected in the conversation, that it started with this sense of nature, that there was water at christenings and water in the ocean, that there's this sense of earthiness coming around, that there was this idea of artifacts and people getting handed down through things, or heirlooms or keepsakes or something like that. Group 3 started talking about the manicness of post-birth, and that was a beautiful. Do you want to talk about that? Anyone in Group 3, that bit that seemed like it was a nice little moment in your group as you were writing it out? The manicness of
that
life.
was me who was writing. I was
Well
kind
done,
of
Rachel.
writing for the group, and I'm not sure any of my group actually has read or knew what I was writing, because I was just kind of picking out words that you like. So for the rest of my group, this is what I wrote. Amongst the manicness of life, a free fall, a scramble, either everyone telling you what to do or no one telling you how to do it. And then going on to about the time you stop and connect, the moment when the 2-year-old exhales. Even when you're tired, there's a sense of time and space, and you're bonded and connected. And they were all just little bits that I was picking out from what our group was talking about. We had a lovely conversation about bedtime books and allowing that space and time. If anybody else from Group 3 wants to add to that.
You've captured that so beautifully. I'm like, I've totally got all the hormones going at the moment. I'm going to cry. But it's so nice. You put really beautiful words to what we were talking about. I feel like we were just talking about the rituals of the everyday, and what you try and find as a family to have that connection time, because it can be really difficult with all the balancing. But Rachel's put it much more poetically. Beautiful.
Your words.
Sorry, just wanted to add to what Rachel was talking about, and we also mentioned baby singing time and baby singing groups, and then the words that Rachel just wrote now sounds like a bit of a song line from our group discussion. So thank you, Rachel.
There was an interesting reimagining from Group 4 about milestones about the baby, and maybe they could be more about the family. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was sharing how I was reflecting about the baby book my parents put together for me, and what a special document that is, but how it's missing all of these important things that happen to everyone else.
Yeah, right.
Just interesting reflection. It's not something I thought about before.
I often say to people when their kids have a birthday, I say happy birthing day to the parents, as well as happy birthday to the child.
There were other reflections in other groups about the coming together and the gatheringness of that moment, or the moments that come after, that the informal and formal gatherings happen and community gathers in different ways. Was that a conversation that was had more broadly? Good. I'm also just watching Merindi's art making face going on and wondering when she's ready. So I'm buying time like a pro. You tell us when we can't hear you, darling. Are you ready?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I've started because there's so much. I shouldn't underestimate the power of people in one space. So, you know, and just the beautiful, you know, ideas and the beautiful knowledges that we actually hold that sometimes we don't even know we hold in there, you know. And so for when we actually given this space to talk, it just flows. So I think, you know, thank you so much for bringing what you've, you know, brought to the table. It's just so beautiful. And I have started, I wouldn't say that I've finished, because there was so much information. I was thinking, oh, maybe I might get one or two little lines, but oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much, you know, and just so generous in being open about, you know, about your experiences and your journeys as, you know, I guess people of the world. We all come from this space, you know, so we all have a history and connections that bring us, you know, back to who we are, you know, and our links and lineages. So I did kind of start. I won't say that I have finished.
Do you want to give us a first draft?
I can totally, yes. And, you know, maybe if you've got something, an idea that you want to chuck in, please unmute yourself or put your hand up and say, oh, can we add this or that, you know, because going off the notes, you can.
Why don't we have a listen and then we can have a little chat about it, and then you've got time.
Yes. Okay, here we
Right.
go. Oh, baby, cultures round the world raise the people around the world. There we go. Look. Sorry. Oh, baby, people around the world raise their children in many different ways. Oh, baby, people around the world raise their children in many different ways. Dipping toes, ocean's blues, read a story, one or two, lullabies for you and me. 1 month of rest, mama, baby, please. Oh, baby, people around the world raise their children in many different ways. Oh, baby, people around the world raise their children in many different ways. Welcome you into this world. Celebrate, boy or girl. People come from miles around. Blah, 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 blah. The smell, the sound, the touch of you, I remember through and through. Sacred pieces handed down, connected to your sacred ground. Oh, baby. So that's where I'm at. I'm kind of sing that song again. Yay. That's all you guys.
Well done, team.
So much. So that's, I haven't even, you know, got a chance to go through everything, but it was, yeah. If you guys have anything that you wanted to add, I know there was a line in there that I've missed. Yeah, please, by all means, send me your suggestions and we can kind of quickly.
So we've got a bit of time to do a reflection on that. I'm happy to, there's not too much of us, if you want us to get hand in the air on screen or pop something in the chat. Alex has already said she's a bit teary, and Akita's wow. Hannah, me too. Beautiful. It was beautiful, very emotional, lovely. All right, we can stop the congratulations now. Let's get into the work, right?
Nitty-gritty. So I think, you know, and I even thought like we could start more with the welcome you into this world, because when I wrote it, I just kind of was writing. What do you guys think? You think that, because then we're kind of giving that timeline of this baby welcome you into this world. celebrate boy or girl, you know, people come from miles around, and there was a couple of lines that I didn't have there. People come, so this is the kind of tune. So people welcome you into this world, celebrate boy or girl. People come from miles around, blah, 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 da, da. The smell, the sound, the touch of you, I remember through and through. Sacred pieces handed down, connected to your sacred ground. And then it comes into that chorus again. But there was a couple of lines there that I haven't quite.
I thought you were making the sound of a newborn mother at that point.
Oh, that sounds happy with that. Blah, 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 blah. Nah. That's me, newborn.
Right.
Nah.
That's how I was. I wonder if there are moments that people want to reflect in the chat or in person of what reflected the discussion and did so well, or what maybe was missed that might be able to slide in, that we can kind of iterate as we go, as Merindi keeps working on that as a piece. Is there anything that really resonated? Feel free to chuck it in the chat, chuck your hand up in the air. If there's anything you want to hear again, I'm sure Merindi will play parts again if you want. If there's bits of the, sorry, Merindi, go.
Sorry, I was going to say, can I just chuck in what I've written up into that Google Drive?
You certainly can.
And everyone can kind of look at it and, you know, have their, let me just copy and paste. So I'll just put it right down the bottom, if that's all right.
Merindi, I'm just thinking, just an offer, something that Zoe said, who's now left, is she really loved with the 1,000 days. She said that it really allowed her to think about it as this long arc rather than these sectional moments and milestones. And I just wonder if there's something about that, like it's a longer journey, and there's lots of little moments within this bigger journey somewhere.
Yeah, beautiful. And did you want to, should we kind of add that maybe at that top, because it is, you know, that first 1,000 days, and it's kind of, you know, welcome you into this world, but the first 1,000 days started. First 1,000 days.
Is that sense of the days are long but the years fly by, that the moments are precious, and is it that, or is it the reverse of that idea of actually we've got to hold on to the bigger journey rather than let them fly by?
I want to write something, but I don't know where, or
chuck it in the chat maybe, or chuck, you can chuck it in the doc, whatever. Either way.
Cool.
Jeffrey said, I love how she incorporated the different ideas and traced the growth of the child. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, thank you, Jeffrey.
Merindi, I'm just reminded how, to begin with, I couldn't think of anything. I just sort of felt like I had no connection to any of it. And then as the song unfolded and I realised how rich and varied it is, just how important it is to gather and talk about this, and how uplifting that is. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And it is, and it's not just about the importance of it. I think it's about the healing that we as mamas, and I do just direct it mainly to mamas, because that is kind of the space that we are working in. But I mean, as families too, you know, we as families need, because a lot of, like, you know, we're talking about a lot of our cultures and a lot of our practices have been dwarfed into this and eroded, you know, which is what Colette mentioned, you know, that erosion of our true connections of who we are. So it's so beautiful to hear that, you know, you could feel that need, you know, and that importance of it. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Nikita.
Thank you, Nikita. Merindi, there's some beautiful offers in the chat around the sense of 1,000 days that you might want to just refer to.
Yeah, I'll just go and have a quick look at the chat. Is that in the chat or in the?
Yeah, do you want me to cut it? I can see if I can paste it into the.
I love hatching little by little, step by step, 1,000 days. Beautiful, and we can pop that in. Little by. Welcome you to this world. Celebrate, boy or girl. Little by little. Maybe we go from there. Little by little. By little. I love that little step by step. Little by little, step by step.
Nice. Thank you, Tess.
Thank you.
I'm keen to open up for other questions and answers as we kind of head into the last little bit of the session, the workshop today. But I don't want to shut this down either. So I wonder if we can maybe hold ourselves in two spaces at once as we do this and kind of let Merindi keep pottering away, but keep an ear on the conversation and help inform the conversation while that's happening. If there's any questions, please chuck them in the chat or chuck your hand up and I'll try and shape the conversation and, you know, make sure we're not talking over each other as we can. But I might start if that's all right, because I wasn't in the group. So I was seeing all this stuff from the outside, and it was really interesting watching the process, the art making process and the information gathering process at the same time and seeing the merging of those two things. What was really interesting for me was hearing the different cultural starting points for that stuff. You know, Ray talked about red eggs being gifted as luck from Chinese culture, or different cultural standpoints. I wonder about that. I wonder about the cultural starting points of people and how we might come together around those as communities. Is there any conversation about that? Any thoughts about that?
Talk about that.
Go.
Yeah, Stacey and I were just talking about how basically what we've just kind of all sat and did here, how we could incorporate that into like a little activity. And yeah, we feasibly could just having, you know, like a group session. And even I'm not a singer, and I don't play guitar, and Stacey's a good singer, mind you. But yeah, even if we made like a piece of poetry, or if we turned it into a piece of art, and then each participant, you know, we could copy off the one piece, and everybody gets to take that, you know, everybody gets to take that with them, because our families are only with us a very short time. They're only here 3 months, and then they move on to their new safe life, is the ideal. So it would be a nice memory from a very difficult, crisis-driven period of their life. It would be something beautiful from that, which, so we're very fired up, and thank you very much for the inspiration, because you've just demonstrated that this is actually doable and how it's doable. So thank you.
I think you're right. Finding the right form in your own context is like easy to think about. Like, you know, I can do this in paint, or or poetry, or yarn, or whatever I want to do. Yeah.
Or theatre. As we are, you know, we're evolving and stepping into also. So yeah, beautiful. There's so much forms of, you know, of these different creative mediums that are around that we can now reimagine and tap into, you know. So yeah, thank you. I've added a few more bits here, but you know, I think I mean, if you want me to do one last sort of, if anyone else got
what we might do is hold that right to the end, Merindi. What do you reckon? We wait to the end, let you do it one last time for us before we say goodbye.
Can I get back on mute and just keep
working? But I was going to ask you a question before you do. One of the conversations we had was around some of the risk in the conversations, that people might go into places that are risky or reflective, or and how you reconcile that, how you support that process.
Yes, and I guess, you know, being being a First Nations from this land, you know, we know, you know, there's lots of research and things now where transgenerational trauma is very evident in our mobs, you know, and we're working in this space where we do have both open sessions and culture specific. You know, we've seen the real yearning, I guess, for mothers to express and bring out some of their you know, experiences as mamas, and some are triggering. And this is why, you know, we know that there are, you know, we're not professionals in dealing with everything. We're professionals, I guess, in bringing some healing, you know, but there are also other things that trigger in these spaces for some mamas, you know. And so we felt that it's very important that we give the mamas some of the, you know, tools and I guess referrals to different mobs that can kind of help in their journey, in their processes, especially if they are triggered in certain areas of their journey as mamas. You know, it could have been a trigger from, you know, 10 years ago from their firstborn, or wherever that space, they're in that space. You know, we Brett, I think we've sent you a bit of a list, so Brett will put that up for mob if you felt like, oh wow, this is, you know, it can be a bit overwhelming. So
just going to cut and paste that into the bottom of the document at the moment that everyone's got access to, while I figure out how to put a picture in the chat, because I don't know.
So yeah, so please, you know, reach out if you need to reach out to the different services and, you know, mobs in your area that can support you if you feel like there are, you know, moments where, you know, you're reflecting and you feel like, okay, I need that little bit of extra support, you know. And it's all about healing. It's a holistic approach. We're one, you know, one element of that healing for our mamas. So yeah. Can I just mute again? Is that okay?
Yep. Were there any questions from Randy on that before we let her head into that space? Probably got enough space for one or two more questions if you have them.
It's not a question, but I was just going to make a comment about being in the space with a baby, and how beautiful music, like the art form of music and the way that you're using it as well, Merindi, speaks to both of us in a really gentle way. And it's a way of kind of the holding of being able to talk about something in a small group and then have it reflected back to you without actually having to do any work is amazing. You know, sometimes when you're trying to write a song, it can be quite an intent, you know, like there can be a bit of stuff around that. And I just think the thing of that your art is what it's doing so beautifully is allowing us to sort of relax and sit into it. And for the you know, Solly is able to kind of enjoy the music and have that speak to him as well. So it doesn't feel like I'm just doing something and carting him around. It feels like it's an experience for both of us, which during this first year is so important. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing. I really appreciate it, and I'm very grateful for it.
Thanks so much, Harriet. And that's kind of the same senses that we get in our groups, you know, in our workshops, where the mamas just feel like they can bring their, you know, we've got some other siblings that come to the space. It's not just the babies, just the first 1,000 days, because we recognize that, you know, some mamas have their kids homeschooled, and so we allow that to happen too. We're flexible, we're not so, you know, down this line sort of thing. And it is that space where other kids are connecting, also babies, you know. So and the mamas can sit back and enjoy, get nourished in that food. And sorry, I'm getting hungry now. But you know, yeah, thank you so much, Harriet. Was there any other comment?
Any other thoughts, feedback?
I just wanted to say thank you as well. Today was really surprising. I didn't have any expectations, but yeah, I'm feeling very emotional, but in a really lovely, you said the word nourishment before, so I do feel nourished and gentle, but it's quite nostalgic as well because I have 2 teenagers. So just reflecting on, yeah, that journey never ends, but that very first point in your life, in that part as a mama and as a child. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tess.
Yeah, thanks, Tess. We did have someone, a grandmother actually. She'd been a mother 23 years ago, you know, and she sat into our space. We did the Boombaja art opening, one of the art centers in Cairns. And this lady, she just sat there and all she could do was just, you know, sorry, I'm getting all emotional now, probably because I've been, I don't know if I explained before, being in a birthing suite all night. My niece just had a baby. So it's just like, so it's been so, you know, and to be able to share this with you guys has been so beautiful for me too. So thank you.
So it's about time to wrap up. If there's no other questions, I might say thank you all. It's been a pleasure to see you all and go on this journey with you. The next Shifting and Stirring is on the 12th of May, Roy Whelan, hosted by the Sydney Opera House. I encourage you to join up for that one when the emails come out and keep attached to what's going on in this space. If you want to stick around and have a chat, I'm happy to stick around in the Zoom and just hold the space for a little while. If you want to keep connecting with your peers, I'm happy to facilitate that. Otherwise, we might say thank you to Merindi and Lia in her absence, and ask Merindi to maybe send us off with a song.
Yeah. Do you want me to sing that song, or I've got another song I sleeve too?
Artist choice, Merindi.
Artist choice, okay. I might, is it okay if I share you this song? So the importance of language, you know, and identity for me has been a big journey for me. And this song was written for our babies, Unaida, just teaching a little bit of a sleep time song. So from my language up in Yalanji here. Dawa, dawa, uneda, gija, gija, sleep my child, star shine so bright, dawa, sleep my child, moon lights the night, gija.
Thank you, everyone. I'm happy to hang out if you want to chat with anyone else or connect up with people in your groups or share information.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we'll see you next time.
See you guys. Thank you. I'll keep moving.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's not my collection. Most of it's probably on Apple or something. Yeah. So anything else? Yeah. So I got like this something different in Minecraft, but still in Minecraft.